All right. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Say Less Basketball Podcast. Currently listening to episode 18. We're in the playoffs now, so not a lot of nice, juicy topics this week. Hope you're doing well wherever and whenever you listen to this. As always, Zach. We got some funny stuff going on in the video. Will, as always, Muhammad, as always. But we're back this week. A lot of shit has gone down over the playoffs. So we've got some NBA topics for you to hear about. First off, though, interesting Kwame Brown segment. So recently, Kwame Brown, after years of silence, after he's been chastised by the league and a lot of criticism, playing with MJ and Kobe, and then severe bust. But he says that he isn't a bust. He's a young man that was homeless, bought his mother a house, a young man that was in the free lunch program, has an action figure, a young man that by every statistical category, I wasn't supposed to make it to college. I was supposed to go to prison. I got the key to the city and I'm in the Hall of Fame. And you call that a bust? Now, that's interesting. And then there was a lot of responses on All the Smoke podcast, which is Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. They said that he's not a bust. He's just a bust in basketball terms. He's not a bust, in life. And then Stephen A. Smith replied as everyone knows, the infamous Kwame Brown Stephen A. Smith rant. He had a 9-minute segment roasting him. He said the only negative thing anybody said about Kwame Brown was that he couldn't play a lick of basketball. Newsflash, that wasn't a lie. And then he replied and had like a low light segment where he just showed all the bad plays that Kwame Brown had. Everyone knows he has small hands. He can't play the game of basketball. I'm sorry to quote but the truth, he cannot play that argument with Stephen A. Smith. But first off, I just want to say, I agree with Stephen A. and All the Smoke. He's a bust in basketball terms, not in obviously in real life, because he's in the NBA. He made it to the NBA. But in basketball terms, he is a bust because he was the first overall pick, and he did not live up to the hype and potential and expectations that comes with being the overall pick. So that's what I say. I don't know about you guys. Who wants to start here? Will, Muhammad?
I just want to read these. Can I just read these quotes? Because I read. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to hear some of that podcast. So Gilbert Arenas said, imagine being an 18-year-old kid getting drafted #1 by your idol, and your idol is Michael Jordan. We know Michael Jordan. We know Michael Jordan's personality. Imagine that personality going towards an 18-year-old, just bullying him when you're making him look like little to his peers. He loses his confidence. So when I get there, he doesn't have confidence. So it's trying to build this man-child up. You're talking about just a big country human. I call him a show pony. He's a show horse. Probably couldn't race. Looks good, though. And then Brown would react and say he got really infuriated by those comments, the show pony comment and the man-child. And he posted on Instagram, or he posted a video of himself relaxing at a bar, proving he wasn't mad, going on Instagram. But he said, the only joke you got about me is basketball. I have a joke about your life, you punk, B word. I don't want to say that on the podcast, but then he told Stephen A. to meet him in Seattle for hand-to-hand combat, which is the only city apparently in America that you can do that without signing a waiver. Yeah. I don't know why any, but yeah, so those are just some of the comments that I found interesting.
That's crazy. I kind of feel bad for Kwame after all these years.
Yeah.
He's kind of regarded as the biggest bust just because he got to play with Mike, of course, and then got to play with Kobe right after, and he still couldn't really exceed his or meet his expectations as #1 pick. So, as regards into the ridicule he kind of gets towards him, I'm not surprised he's lashed out like this, but I mean, it's the truth, whether he likes it or not. He was a good, decent NBA player, just not a #1 pick. I mean, simple as that. But I don't know if you guys watched his rant videos. I mean, he's made, I think, a couple of them. I got to see some on Twitter today and earlier this week.
They're long.
Yeah, some of them are
like an hour and a half long.
Yep. Yeah, he has a lot to say, man. It's crazy. So I understand his anger because people just, get on him for being a bust and skill level and all that stuff. But I don't know. I feel like if this continues, I feel like it's going to get to a point where, he might start making threats. Yeah. Obviously, guys like Matt Barnes and Gilbert Arenas and Stephen A., they have professional jobs, so they can't really say anything towards those lines. But I feel like Kwame is just getting tired of whatever.
Tired of the hate, yeah.
Well, let's look at this. He's a bust, all right? Well, he was the number one pick, all right? So he's going to have to live with this. It's just the fact of the matter, all right? He played, 11 years in the NBA, something like that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Averaged 6 points, 6 rebounds, not even an assist, not even a block, not even a steal. That's not a first pick material. Like, that's why you're a bust, all right, man? Like, that's the reality of a situation.
Right.
Because here's the other thing. People call Greg Oden a bust, right? He never had the chance to play 11 years. He didn't have that opportunity to become what a first pick should be. Kwame Brown had the opportunity. Now, let me say something. I have to be fair here because I criticize LeBron for going into teams and just completely dismantling them and just shoving everybody who is young and can't win right now to the side, which I think is what happened on the Cavaliers. I remember telling all my friends that was going to happen, that they were going to clean house when LeBron got there, and said he needed more playmakers, and they did. He goes to the Lakers. What did they do? Clean house. Yep. So it's because LeBron doesn't want to play with people that can't win right now. And so I got to be fair because Michael and Kobe are the same way. And maybe Kwame Brown wasn't that guy at that time, so he got a bad rap. Mm-hmm. I need to be consistent in that take. So, I felt bad for like Jordan Clarkson, for Larry Nance, for Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, guys that we've actually seen really, really grow into great players really well. Like great players.
Anybody who was on the Lakers young core.
Yeah, pretty much just left the Lakers and became good elsewhere. So I have to be consistent and say, maybe he got a bad rap there, but at the same time, he had his chance to go to different places, and he didn't show up there.
Yeah. I mean, he made it the way he says busts is like he's a bust in life. Like, no, he made it to the NBA. He's not a bust.
He's taking it personally. He's taking it really personally.
Right.
And it doesn't need to be personal. This is an NBA discussion. Right. This makes me wonder how he would have handled the heat of the media if he ended up being great. Because the greater you are, the more they come.
In the social media era, if he had been drafted in the social media era.
No. I mean, he played till 2013?
Wow.
Yeah.
So he was out, ending in that era. And granted, he was doing absolutely nothing the last couple years of his career. But you have to wonder, I mean, one of those years he was on the Warriors. He was on the Warriors in 2011. So, just imagine if he stayed there for the next 5 years or whatever somehow. And then the Warriors became that dynasty. And then everybody starts giving heat to everybody. Mm-hmm. I got to wonder if he'd be a little bit like Durant. Start making burner accounts and tweeting at people.
Yeah. This is really the first time he's come out and responded to the hate he's getting.
Yeah, no,
right.
I know.
So I feel like just Gilbert Arenas struck a nerve with those comments. I mean, I would have done the same thing if someone called me a pony boy or whatever he said.
A pony, a show pony.
Show pony, yeah.
But what I'm saying is this is all built up over years, but it's not always every day, not talked about every day. If he was in the NBA and good, it would be talked about. He'd be ridiculed every day. Look at LeBron. LeBron just gets absolutely destroyed on social media every single day because he's great. Mm-hmm. That's the reality of life. I mean, you're good at something, people are gonna hate you. So
Thanks.
Props to him though. He made $64 million throughout his career, so at least
that's stupid. That's crazy.
He made moves.
So as long as he, was smart with his money, at least he won with something.
finesse the whole league. But
he should be talking about that. He should be like, you guys say I'm a bust, but I just made $64 million off the NBA.
yeah,
Like,
that's all you need to say there. Yeah.
He probably made more money than players who aren't busts will make in their career.
Yep.
That's wild.
So interesting. A bit of a real topic. We have those debates on these podcasts every once in a while, but moving on though, we're interesting playoff discussions here. So first off, right off the bat, I gotta take the L, man. I said if Heat would go to the Eastern Conference Finals again. Said that earlier in the season.
No, you said they were going to the finals, I thought.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did. I haven't written down the Eastern Conference, but I remember I said later finals, and they got swept in the first round by the Bucks.
On that note, I also have to take the L because I had the Bucks losing in the first round.
Bucks lose first round, yeah.
So I thought the Heat would. I mean, I didn't know at the time I didn't know they'd play the Heat. So, but either way, I had to stick with what I said. Buddy, are you really one to talk? You want to fess up about something right now?
I see Muhammad's laughing over there.
I have a question for you, bro. Why'd you get a haircut? Why'd you get a haircut?
I'll acknowledge it, bro. Just relax.
Yeah.
Relax.
We're talking about it. I might as well just say it. Mavs missing the playoffs. That did not happen for Muhammad. So he did shave the head, turn on go to YouTube if you want to see the end result. But the man he's a man of his word. Respect for that. But we're all taking L's like gentlemen here on this one.
What else did Muhammad say that was wrong?
I just said I acknowledge it.
But you're gonna acknowledge it. Okay.
If other people want to speak for me, go ahead, man.
Okay. Do you want to acknowledge it now? Because
do your thing, man. Just do what you gotta do.
Okay. I'll just keep going.
Folks just want to speak for me. So crazy.
Folks just want to speak for me.
Anyways, let me just speak real quick. All right, the whole haircut thing. I didn't name specifically in my head, but it's coincidentally I just didn't feel like having all that hair, and I want to restart.
Yeah.
So I was like, either shave the beard or shave the head. So I was like, you know what, I'll just shave the head.
You chose wrong.
So, what you mean?
No respect. No, he chose right.
But props to the Mavs. I didn't think they were gonna make the playoffs. I mean, they were like under 500 the first 2 months of the season, so I just thought they would have a bad season. But big ups to them. Respect to Luka and Porzingis and everybody. Rick Carlisle, most underrated coach in the league. My other thing is, I did say the Nets would go 16-0, but Jason Tatum had to turn into supernova or something over the weekend, or was it yesterday? He dropped a 50-piece. Nobody can guard him. He was literally making every shot. KD couldn't guard him. Kyrie, Harden. Blake Griffin was barbecue chicken anytime he was guarding Jason Tatum. So I took the L on that.
Yep.
So I guess the Nets will be going 16-1.
Oh wow!
All right, so next week we'll be talking about the same. We'll be hearing the same thing.
Yep. But so we just got. Oh, Will also said AD will be hurt by the. At some point in time, he will be hurt by the conference finals, and I do think he is.
Yep, he's hurt
now, as we speak. Yeah.
Yep.
He said he's gonna. There's no chance he's not gonna play. So I think he's just.
No, I said he will get hurt, but he may play through it. But he will be hurt. It's gonna be like last year. Remember how he hurt his ankle in the finals, and then they didn't address it until the offseason.
Right.
Found out it was actually a big deal.
Facts.
That's what's gonna happen.
Facts.
I don't wish injury on AD though. I hope he stays healthy.
Yep. That's interesting. But real quick, your thoughts on the Heat collapse. There's been a lot of talk about Jimmy Butler. Do you guys still think he's underrated, or do you think this damages his appearance? Or where do you see the Heat next season? Do you see them as playoff contenders? Do you see them as finals contenders? Because a lot of them, including myself, saw them as finals contenders this year, and they just got ran out of the whole playoffs this series. So, Mo, Will, your thoughts on this?
Well,
next season,
their problem this series was it was simply Jimmy and Bam didn't lead their team to anything. from game 1 to game 4, Jimmy was shooting under 40% every game. He wasn't scoring as much. I mean, he dropped, I think it was a triple-double today, but again, he went like 4 for like 15 from the field. So Jimmy, I'm just disappointed in him because of, I wasn't saying he hyped the team up, but he did say during the season, you know, I forgot what the exact quote was, but he said something along the lines of, you know, we're going to go back. We're going to show everybody out, you know, show everybody that we're the best team in the East and all that, you know, that type of thing. But obviously that didn't happen. And for him to lose in this fashion is just I'm not going to question his leadership. It's like just why did it happen like this? Because Jimmy, out of all people, I want to see him like just not giving up, but he just didn't seem like he wanted it. Because if you're down 2-0 and you're facing the Bucks where, you know, all the shooters are going crazy, why don't you try to go for 40? Why isn't Bam trying to go for 20 and 10 or something like that? Like what he did against the Lakers last year in Game 5 when he dropped 42 and he looked like he was about to collapse from, you know, fatigue. But like I'm disappointed in Jimmy and Bam, and makes you question maybe if they should have traded for Harden, because a lot of people are clowning him, I mean the Heat for not trading for Harden because they didn't want to include Tyler Hero in the package. So that looks real bad on them. A lot of people are calling bubble frauds now, so it's a bad look for them. So they better. I don't know if they want to blow the team up, but I guess they're gonna have to go for a third superstar, at least maybe a Kawhi. You know, depends on what his situation, but maybe Victor Oladipo could have made a difference, but I don't know if he could have. But I think the reason they lost the series is because of lack of intensity, leadership. There's no scoring at all. I mean, nobody was dropping, you know, big games, so it's tough for them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Bryn Forbes. A lot of people are clowning Jimmy as well because Bryn Forbes scored more points in this series than Jimmy too. So, man, their NBA Twitter is lighting up the heat off of this recent playoff L. But Will, your thoughts?
Well, so I'm just looking at the playoff stats right now.
Yeah.
Just going through some stuff just to help me figure out some stuff. The Bucks defense is insane. I mean, we got to give credit to them. I'm looking at this right now. They average 59 rebounds a game, which, to put in perspective, is 10 more than the next highest team in the playoffs, which is the Knicks. It's 14 more than the team after that because the Knicks and Bucks are kind of ahead of everybody else, but the Bucks are so far ahead of everyone, it's not even close. And watching the game today, it was weird because Jimmy and Bam just kind of passed up open shots. And I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, there should be some sense of urgency here because you guys have open shots and it's hard to score on Brook Lopez and Giannis. So, you know, I'll give you that. So if you've got an open shot from the mid-range, I get it. It's analytics. Mike D'Antoni might yell at you, or not Mike D'Antoni. What's his face? Rockets former GM.
Daryl Morey.
Yeah, Daryl Morey might yell at you for taking a pull-up and mid-range jumper. But if they're there, it's like you got to, because the Bucks interior defense is insane.
Yeah.
So
facts.
What I think ultimately this comes down to is, first of all, Butler was horrible. This is on him as much as it's on anybody else. You got to be a leader.
Yep.
Secondly, the Bucks may have surprised the Heat and probably surprised everyone. And I'm like a huge Giannis guy, but they surprised me. I didn't, after this many years, I was kind of like surprised they played this well.
Yeah.
This doesn't take Jimmy out of the underrated as a superstar status. I still think he's great. All right. He had a bad series. Everybody has a bad series. I still don't think he's like, you know, top 5 player, maybe top 10 in there, but like, I don't think this effect. Now, if he comes back next year and this happens again, okay, I'll talk. The other thing is Giannis has a jumper now. Did you guys notice that? I'm not saying like he has
so many threes.
Yeah, he's taking a lot more threes and he's taking some turnaround jumpers.
Turnaround mid-range,
you know, LeBron, Kobe, MJ kind of shots.
Yep.
And he's making them. Now that's scary for me as a Bulls fan because they're in the same division, but just it should be scary for the rest of the NBA because if that man starts doing that, it's a wrap.
Yep.
The other thing was, what was the defense on Giannis? Because last year they had a game plan that worked so well, but it
I was
wasn't
gonna bring
there
that
this
up.
time.
Yeah.
Where was it, right?
Mm-hmm. Nowhere.
Because
I mean, it was that whole wall formation thing, right?
yeah,
Not that just that zone where they just put like three guys in the
I
middle.
mean Giannis smoked them. Yeah, Giannis
Yeah.
smoked them this series. Other than the first game where him and Jimmy were terrible, and everybody freaked out about it, and of course we're all like, "It's not gonna happen again." Okay. Now, granted,
Right.
Jimmy was terrible though, but Giannis was not. Giannis absolutely torched them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm
It's
happy the Bucks moved on, and I will say they look like for the Nets, assuming the Nets win the Celtics. That's
Yeah.
gonna be this is gonna be a really really tough matchup for the Nets. A
Yup.
really hard matchup.
Yeah.
Also want to say, not that it matters, but in terms of scoring, the Bucks had the highest point differential in this
Damn.
round.
Yeah, because Forbes is turning into Ray Allen this series.
For real.
This
Yeah.
man was hitting like
Hitting their shots.
5+ threes the whole series, each game. It's crazy.
Yeah. He's going off. Another interesting series I think we should talk about is this Mavs Clippers series, because it's getting into be a
So much
very
to say.
nice rivalry from last year and this year. And now this year, I mean, there's back and forth every night with these teams. There's a scrap, there's a heated argument where they're drawing at each other. It's amazing. But the Mavs Clippers. So I feel like this one is up for debate because you guys think the Clippers are going to get out of this one? Do you guys think the Mavs can pull off the upset? I don't know. I'm going to stick with the Clippers here, but I'm not going to lie. Luka's been real nice these playoffs, but he has gotten criticism when they lost this game against the Clippers. So Will, Mohammed, do you think the Clippers are getting out of this one? Are they safe?
I think they will,
Mm-hmm.
but I watched Game 3 and I watched part of Game 2 and I watched Game 1,
Mm-hmm.
and my biggest takeaways from those was especially Game 3. The first two games was basically just Luka torching the team because nobody on the Clippers could guard him.
Yep.
And the problem was all the Mavericks do was just run a high pick and roll.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you have Pat Bev on Luka as his primary defender for those first two games. Then you're running a high pick and roll, and you have Zubac or Ibaka in that pick and roll with Pat Bev. Luka's just gonna either go around and do his little step back, especially if Pat Bev just stays on him, or he's just gonna pass it out to one of his shooters.
Right.
So, and of course, the big thing from those first two games too was Kwame and PG weren't, guarding Luka,
Yeah.
especially during late in those games too. But Game 3, I wouldn't say they've finally stepped up, but they did do a good job. But the first 2 minutes of the game, Luka hit like 3 threes because they switched Zubac and they just nobody fought through the screens. They just let Zubac guard him out, and Luka just did a step back 3 straight times on him and hit 3 straight threes. But the thing is, though, Kawhi and PG, I wouldn't say they stepped up because they've been doing decent, but they did dominate that game, especially in the first half. Kawhi was like 8 for 8 in the first half from the field and stuff. But the Mavericks, the reason they won those first two games is because Luka had help, because Tim Hardaway and Porzingis and Donnie Finney-Smith and Brunson off the bench were just smoking them in threes, man. I think the Mavericks hit the most threes in the first 3 games in the playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was crazy.
They're shooting like 50% or something absurd.
Right, exactly. And the Clippers were the best 3-point shooting team in the league, so it's just like they're beating up at their own game. So, but the Mavericks gonna lose this series because I don't think Luka's role players or his teammates, I don't think they're gonna sustain this whole hot shooting thing. And Porzingis, man, that man is 7-3 for no reason. Game 3, man, this man was like 2 for 8 or something, and every time he got the ball in the post, he had Reggie Jackson twice in the post, and he kicked it out to a shooter. It's ridiculous. And they're going to lose this series because Luka's teammates are not going to step up to help him, especially Porzingis, as a second option, right?
Yep.
And he's just going to burn out because Luka was so tired at the end of the game. I don't know if you guys watched Game 3, but that man was burnt out the rest of the game. I mean, the fourth quarter. So
Facts. Yep.
That's all facts. All right. Let me break it down what you said even further, okay? First of all, the Clippers don't have an answer for Luka because Kawhi and PG did guard him in game 1 and 2. They threw everybody at him.
Yeah,
even in game
everybody.
3, he still scored what, 40? I mean,
41.
I've always liked Luka since he came in the league, but I've never been like, oh, he's a top 5 point guard.
Right.
But now I'm really starting to think this man might even be top 3. He might be up there starting to talk about in the conversation with Damian Lillard, like just around that area with Westbrook and Kyrie, because this man is insane. Yeah. And he's also one of the most clutch players in the NBA, which is crazy to me. But PG and Kawhi need to play like they did in game 3, all right? Because Kawhi did play well in game 2 in the first half. You can't just play good for a first half. The other thing is, here's why the Clippers lost those 2 games. They're trying to play the Maverick style of basketball, which is scoring. The Clippers don't have that kind of scoring. They have a lot of scoring, don't get me wrong, but the Mavericks are a scoring machine. So the Clippers were trying to match their scoring, it seemed. Like, instead of playing defense, which is what the Clippers are made for.
Right.
Beverly's not going to guard Luka. It's just not going to happen, right?
Nope.
Man, it's like when they put Beverly on KD. Yeah, he might be your best defender other than Kawhi. Well, that wasn't Kawhi back in those days. So he was the best defender if you remember that Clippers team. Sometimes you might need size. Sometimes the best defender just isn't going to cut it because Luka's just too big for him. Yeah. What else did I have? So here's one of the issues that I see that you pointed out, Mohammed, and this is why the Mavs probably will lose this series and Luka's going to burn out. He plays 40 plus minutes every game. Mm-hmm. I don't think there will be a game in this series he doesn't play at least 40 minutes unless he gets hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt in game 3. He had a shoulder pain.
Yeah, but actually leaves for the whole game. Fingers crossed that he doesn't.
All right.
But he plays just like LeBron. There's a reason he's compared to LeBron. There's a reason that's his idol, or whatever.
Yeah.
He plays the same way. Yes, but the thing is, the team revolves around him. Without him on the ball, do you see their plus minus when he's not on the court? That's just LeBron-esque. Why is that? Because the whole offense revolves around him. I mean, do you see that whole offense? Kristaps, like you said, Kristaps was horrible in game 3, and they still almost won the game. And it's just because Luka, the whole offense is Luka. Everything. He's so incredibly ball dominant. We've seen what happens with LeBron teams like that. LeBron gets gassed out. James Harden. Because the whole team revolves around them. They get gassed out because they're asked to do everything because that's how the offense was built. And that's just not a sustainable thing. So if somehow they win the series, who would they play next? They would play the Lakers, right?
No, they would play the
Jazz or okay.
Yeah.
I think. Well, the 4 or 5.
They play the Nuggets. Nuggets are.
Okay. Whatever it is, but either way, somehow they get out. This man's going to be gassed. It's just not a sustainable thing, and he's not like LeBron yet, where he can carry a team to the finals like that, and then just get obliterated in the finals and be like, "Well, I got us there." It's just not. It's not going to happen.
Damn.
So no, I love Luka, but it's just they got to come up with something else.
Kristaps has to step up.
They got to run some plays for Kristaps, dude, because I feel like if you're just going to have Luka run the point guard position or just run the offense, like, I feel like Kristaps is going to be either, just get me in the post or just kick me out for an open shot. I feel like if they actually run plays for Kristaps, he could actually get a better feel for the game. Because game 3, when Luka goes, when Luka sat out, dude, the Clippers would go on these 10-0 and 14-0 runs, and when Porzingis was the one on the floor instead of Luka, they still didn't even run the offense through Porzingis. It was just pick and roll, kick out to a shooter, or just pull up for a 3, or drive to the basket. It's just and look, Kubler, if that's how you pronounce his name, Tim Hardaway, Bronson, is it Clubber?
Kleber or something like that.
Okay,
Kleber.
Finney Smith. those guys can't really penetrate defenses, dude. Like if you watch, they're literally just spot up shooters or just pull up shooters. Maybe Brunson is just because he's a small guard, but those other guys, like, you can't really run offense to them. So, I mean, if Luka's on the floor, then
no, it's literally a LeBron team. I mean, that's what it is. You have a penetrator. Oh, that sounded weird. A guy who can penetrate, surrounded by shooters.
Yep, that's facts. Yeah, good points, gentlemen. I agree. Porzingis has got to step up. I feel like if Porzingis can step up, then other guys can step up too. I feel like there's always room for a Finney Smith or a Hardaway.
Those guys that stepped up for sure. That's why they won the first 2 games. But game 3 is when you saw why they won't win the series, is because once Luka can't get going, gets going, but those guys can't get going, the Clippers are just gonna blow them out.
Yep, but KP needs to consistently play like a star for them to win.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In the series, and then they can have role players. Any role player can step up, right? Like Finney Smith or Hardaway can step up and do stuff, or Kleber maybe too. But they have to have KP consistently be a star, right? Yeah.
On a different note, the Clippers need to win this series for legacy purposes and for just confidence in a franchise. They have to win this series.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot riding on it for them. So
yes,
but we can go to the next one, Zach.
Interesting. But next series, one that has turned out to be really interesting, a lot of banter, is the Knicks and the Hawks. We were all very excited to see the Knicks make the playoffs. Mohammed and Will bet on Randall to win the Most Improved, and I chastised them multiple times from that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. He's already
money.
And then it happened. But the Hawks and Knicks have been back and forth. There's a lot of banter, and the Garden was crazy. The other one of the games, the liveliness is back for playoff basketball in New York. It's pretty exciting. And then Trae Young has been risen to claim one of the best trash talkers in the league with this series, and he's talking a lot of shit to all these players as well. So this one is up for grabs in my book, because both teams are stacked. You got great players on both sides. But I see man, it's tough, but I don't know. I can see the Knicks winning this one. I can see the Knicks getting a lot of support when they're back in the Garden. I think they'll have a steadier home court advantage than the Hawks will. So I see the Knicks winning this series in maybe 6 or 7 games.
Well, I don't really know. I originally picked the Knicks. I don't know how many games I picked them, but it's looking tough. But
yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
Right now, I think there's 3 reasons why the Knicks are losing. One is their defense is not up to par with their defense that was the second best apparently in the NBA this season. Secondly, their main players are not stepping up except for D-Rose. It's just D-Rose and that's it. Randall is not stepping up. RJ Barrett's not stepping up. And then Quickly is not shooting as good as he used to. Same thing with Reggie Bullock. What's his name? Alec Burks had a couple good games, but game 3 he wasn't stepping up. And third is Trae Young is just smoking them, dude. Trae Young's literally doing everything and anything to them. Pick and roll, pull up 3. His floaters, his passing is killing them. I don't know if Tom Thibodeau is gonna come with a better game plan game 4, but I don't know, man. And they won't expose him on defense. The man is really the worst defender in the league, I think, stats wise, numbers wise. So I don't get why they don't try to expose him with switches on pick and rolls, or have him whoever's being guarded by him attack the basket. And what's it called? But yeah, just
run whoever offense on Trae Young for real,
And Randall, man.
Yeah.
Randall's
I thought that was going to be your main point there.
Yeah. I was going to say reason number 2 is probably the best thing is D-Rose and nobody else. Not Randall, not RJ Barrett, but Randall is just, oh my God. That man is dropping disaster class. Good Lord.
Here's what I think's going on. I think the Knicks have a whole bunch of guys that haven't been to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going on. Because Randall was unbelievable in the regular season. Now he looks like he could barely shoot a basketball. I mean, he's been horrible. We think Jimmy Butler's been bad.
Yeah, Randall's
Jimmy looks like an all-star compared to Randall.
Yep.
I mean, this dude is terrible.
God, we looking like Lakers, Randall.
Man.
Kind of upset that you said what you did about Trae Young because I wanted to bring out my comment about this, but I was going to say Mr. Overrated is smoking the Knicks. Absolutely smoking them.
He's still overrated. Don't care.
He is doing whatever he wants to them. I was like watching the games. I'm like, this man, they can't guard him. They have no answer for Trae Young at all.
Yep.
And he can score at will. His passing, he's creating shots for everybody.
Yep.
Now, one thing I did find interesting is the Knicks have 5 players that are averaging double digits in scoring, while the Hawks only have 3. And really, it's just Trae Young.
In this series?
Yeah, in this series.
Wow.
And then the Hawks have 3, and then it's really just Trae Young, and then
who's the other 2? I'm just curious.
Bogdanovich and
is it John Collins?
I don't think it was John Collins. You want me to pull it?
Because it's either him or Hunter. I would assume.
Let me pull it up right here.
Or Capella. Capella's been getting his double doubles.
That's true.
Yeah, but so that shows you how well rounded the Knicks are. Now, like you pointed out, Mohammed, the Knicks defense somehow, some way was the second best defense in the league this year. I don't really know.
What do you mean
how.
somehow, some way? It's Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
fair.
We know what he brings with the defensive.
He's all-time great defenses. I get it.
Sir.
Thanks.
It's it's DeAndre Hunter. Yeah. Okay. So, but their defense looks really bad right now, and they got to find an answer to Trae Young. That it's as simple as that. You got to stop him because it's kind of like Luka, where the whole offense kind of revolves around Trae Young. If you can kind of stop him, do something. Other thing is D Rose has been the best Knick, and it's not even. It's statistically it's not even close. If you watch, it's not even close. The games need to go through Derrick Rose. I don't know if he's starting every game. Is he?
He started game 3, but he didn't start game 1 and 2. He started game 2 second half.
He needs to start, okay, because he's the only player on this team with experience.
Yep.
Am I right? I don't know if that's
him and Taj.
Him and Taj, right? But Taj ain't that guy.
Reggie Bullock. Yeah.
But those aren't that guy. Those guys, like these, I'm talking about. That guy is going to be Derrick Rose, and he's going to have to be that guy if they want to. But the other thing I was looking at is I'm looking at these minutes for D Rose, and it just reminds me of Thibodeau, man.
A lot, yeah.
I mean it just looks like Thibodeau.
With the way the series is going, I mean it's a risk, but it's a risk he had to take.
So who do I think is going to win the series? I was kind of rooting for the Knicks. The fans have kind of made me not want the Knicks to win, which we'll get to in a different segment.
Why not?
It's just
fun banter.
No, well, it's just
playoff basketball. Man.
Something about the fact that they're in the playoffs for the first time in like a decade, and then their fans are going nuts in the street, like, "Oh yeah, we're on you." Like, no, you're in the playoffs, barely competing with a team that's not that great. I mean, the Hawks are decent, but I still I'm gonna stick with my pick. I'm gonna stick with the Knicks.
I don't know if you agree with this, Will, but I think in terms of defense, they should run a zone. With how the Knicks should, like in terms of like guarding Trae Young, because when they run that pick and one, or a box and one, but they don't have a defender like that. Maybe Bullock, but who's that French guy? Frank Ntilikina, whatever his name is. He's a pretty good defender. Yeah. But they should run a zone because when they run that pick and roll, dude, Trae Young's literally going around the big man, whoever's switching on them, either doing his little floater game, which is probably the best floater him and Derrick Rose are, or he's kicking out to a shooter, and their shooters are killing him because John Collins and DeAndre Hunter and Bogdan and who's that the ginger, what's his name?
Oh God,
right,
his number
No, I know who you're talking about. My bad.
Yeah,
Herder.
yeah, Herder,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah. They're
Danilo,
all
even
Yeah.
Danilo.
yeah, and Danilo, yeah, they're all shooters and they're all killing them just like the Mavericks. It's literally pick and roll and kick out to a shooter or Luca and Trey just go to the basket and draw a foul or do a little float or whatever, just score. So I think
Facts.
they need to run a zone at least
Yeah.
just so they can guard the shooting. And then if you want to negate Trey Young, just I don't know, just I guess be better. I don't know how else you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Make them tired on defense.
They
Oh yeah,
had
go ahead. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Go at him on the defensive side, and maybe we'll get tired.
almost every player in game 3 scored double-digit points that played for the Hawks. Damn.
God
Because
Lord.
the Trey Young had 21 points and 14 assists, and man, they were piling up. Holy cow! Even Lou Will had 11 minutes, had 9 points. Herder only had 19 minutes, 10 points. Like they have contributors and shot makers, so it's gonna be tough for the Knicks. Be interesting, but another series that's interesting is the so we just got out of the very competitive ones, but the Suns and the Lakers. I think most of us are probably going to go with the Lakers here as well.
Obviously, Chris
Um,
Paul literally is playing with
I
one
thought you
arm.
said it was going to be a close series. It wasn't going to
well,
be
Chris Paul is
hard.
out.
I mean, it wouldn't have mattered.
I mean, they were competitive in the first games with Chris. So
I don't know. I'm judging by the scores. It didn't look that
the first game,
competitive.
did you not watch the first game with Chris
The
Paul?
first game where they won.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
with Chris
Oh,
Paul.
okay.
They
Yeah,
played with Chris Paul. Yeah.
yeah. And the second and third game when they played with him.
Well, injuries. We always blame up injuries is the biggest excuse in sports history for me. It's a part of the game, so you have to take into account injuries. But Lakers obviously have, I think, not a lot of analysis on that one because they have a clear path to win without Chris Paul playing. But also Nets Celtics, obviously probably all picking the Nets as well, despite the fact that the Celtics won that game. And Tatum can't drop 50 points every game. Can't go off every game, especially without Jaylen Brown. So
So
probably I'll stick with the Nets.
Kemba was like 2 for 15. By the way, you guys didn't know
Oh my
that man
goodness.
is dropping another disaster.
Oh my goodness. Sixers Wizards. That's pretty easy. Sixers
that's
obviously.
the most boring of all this.
Yeah, facts for real.
And then Jazz Grizzlies. With
Pretty good game today.
with Spider back, I think that Utah Jazz will probably finish off the Grizzlies. But that and then also I almost forgot the Blazers and Nuggets series, which is currently tied.
Interesting game today or
Currently tied
yesterday
at the
technically.
yep. Currently tied at the time of this recording, but very interesting. The only series tied right now, but it's been back and forth. Credit to the Nuggets, man, for sticking with it and sticking in this series even without Jamal Murray. But for that reason alone, and because the Blazers have Dame, I'm going with the Blazers in this series. Um, I think they'll. I think they have the edge with their team. I think they're well rounded. I think Dame has been very nice these playoffs so far. So I think I think the Blazers are going to take care of the Nuggets.
Blazers are one of the most underachieving teams I've ever seen in the modern era.
How many times have we had this text conversation, Zach?
Yep.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to bring those ones out, send them in the chat, man.
And Will always says that the Blazers are the chokers of.
I call them the what do I call them?
You used to say the Dodgers, but the Dodgers won.
Well, the Dodgers
so.
won. I used to say they were the Dodgers of the NBA. But let me talk about this Blazers. The Blazers need to win this series, all right? They have to win this series. There is no excuse. They have choked for way too long. They've maybe not choked because like 1 year when they lose to the
haven't
Warriors.
choked. They're just underachieved.
Yeah, when they lose to the Warriors, and granted Dame and CJ weren't great in those games, but they still lost to the Warriors. But they need to win this series because their team is way better without Jamal on the court. I mean, do you see what the Nuggets looked like today when Jokic didn't get it going? I mean,
Dude, their minutes were low. I
Yeah,
don't know why. I don't know. Did they get blown up? Because I looked at
yeah,
the
they
box
they
scores.
they did.
Okay.
They were getting blown up, but uh, well, not in the first half, but after the third quarter. By the time
Yeah, I
of the
was
third
gonna say.
quarter, it was out of hand. But
Right.
they need to win this series because they're better than the Nuggets. The Nuggets are not that good without Jamal. I mean, and like I was saying, without Jokic going, it just kind of seems like the Nuggets are lost. It's another case of like Luka. Like it's just he can't get going, Jokic can't get going, and then the Nuggets just look like they're a Y ball team.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable because they're really roster wise they shouldn't be that bad. I mean,
They're not.
Campazzo, however you say that, Oscar, Michael
Mm-hmm.
Porter, Aaron Gordon, Marcus Morris, Jeff Green, Paul Millsap, Howard, Harrison, and not terrible
Not
players,
bad. Yep.
but they're not better than Portland. Portland needs to win this series. They have
Yep.
to win this
Facts.
series.
Facts.
You guys want to talk?
Everything.
I do have some comments on the other series if you guys did
Yeah, I
want
was
to
gonna
talk
say
about it.
you want to explain your little all they didn't care
Okay,
with
so
the Nets.
here's what I was saying about the Nets. All right,
Oh yeah.
first of all, the Nets should win this series, but they were exposed, and there was a recipe displayed on how to beat them.
Yep.
And the Bucks
Damn.
possess that ability, and so do the Lakers, in my opinion. So do
What about
the
Sixers?
Sixers to an extent. Sixers,
What do you mean to an extent? They have a dominant big man too.
yeah, but size wise on defense, actually no, because they have Dwight Howard as well, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah, the
and they have Ben
Sixers,
Simmons.
they all do. So all three of
Mm-hmm.
those teams can really give the Nets some trouble. And the Nets,
Mm-hmm.
this is why when we were talking about the first seed, getting the first seed would really be important now, because let's just say they're going to beat the Celtics. But here's what my issue was, Mohammed. You said how the Kawhi and PG weren't fighting through screens, bro. The
Mm-hmm.
amount of times I saw Kyrie Irving guarding Jason Tatum last night or whatever was insane. I
What's
was
the
like,
problem with that?
fight through the screens. Try and guard him. The man's going off. I
Kyrie
would
was guarding him. Yeah, what's the problem with that?
no,
He
but
was taking the challenge.
yeah, but that was off screens a lot of the time. That's
Okay,
what I'm
so
saying.
Blake Griffin was smoking him. Blake Griffin's too slow for Jason Tatum, and
They
maybe and Durant was basically his primary defender.
and yes, and Durant needs to show more effort to try and fight through those screens and be the primary defender always, because Kyrie and Blake just got absolutely torched. Everybody got torched by Jason Tatum. Now, what you said about them shooting lights out, I wanted to look into that. Because I didn't think
Okay,
they shot lights out.
yeah. Let me explain that. What I actually meant was anytime the Nets look like they can make a run to you know lessen the lead, the Celtics would come back and hit some big three. Especially Fournier was hitting big shots. Marcus Smart was hitting big threes. So was Jason
Yeah,
Tatum. So I
yeah.
just that's what I meant. They just kept hitting daggers throughout
So
the game.
I did look it up though. The Celtics shot 4% better than what they averaged per game this year, which is that's a lot. That's a big jump. Also, they shot 7% or 8% better than the first two games. That's a huge difference. The Nets also have shot a little poorly this series thus far.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I say they need to show urgency because I watched that first half, bro, and I just watched. I mean, I watched the game, but in the first half, like when they were getting down big, because I'm pretty sure the Nets were killing them at first,
They
right?
were
They
the
were like up
first
20 to
5
4 or
minutes.
something.
Yeah,
It
they
was
were smoking
ridiculous.
them. Mm-hmm.
And Durant was absolutely insane in the first part of the game, and
Yeah.
he was the whole game. But like that's why they got ahead. But I was watching like Harden, and when it was only Harden in the game, and the Celtics were just going on runs and runs, and then Harden would just get pissed off and then drive in and get a foul or the layup. But that's what I'm saying is like that kind of stuff. They wait for that kind of situation to do something like that. There's no let's do it proactively. That to me might present a problem if they just kind of go through the motions in games midway because
I understand. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
you can have periods of going through the motions and that can let a team back in the game. I think we all agree the Celtics are better than the 7th seed. Like they're a better
Yeah.
team than the 7th seed. They just have gotten plagued with injuries this year. And
Yeah.
usually that's not an excuse, but like the Celtics have gotten plagued, historically plagued with injuries. It's honestly unbelievable. Here's the other thing. I said it, and I'm going to stick by it. Durant is the best player on the Nets. He has shown it the first 3 games. It's just not even close. How can you even argue it? Harden and Kyrie were not great in the first 2 games. Granted, Harden was pretty great in game 3, but so was Durant. And I mean, there's just no argument. He was definitely, and I think actually in the third quarter when they started losing their lead, or the second quarter, whenever it was, Durant was off the court. They needed him to come back in to like carry some of that offensive load. But I think that there is a recipe shown to kind of combat the Nets, and we'll see what goes forward. But I'm starting to think that the Bucks Nets series will be pretty good, and they're definitely not going to sweep the Bucks.
We'll be critical.
There's not going to be a 16-1.
There's no way. Yeah,
that
would be nuts.
If somehow they sweep the Bucks and the Sixers, bro, I will shave my beard. I'll get a mohawk.
Wow.
No, I'm not going to take that back.
I'd agree with. No. You know, keep going. What else do you want to say? You said beard, mohawk. What else?
You said sweep Bucks.
So you said if the Nets sweep the Bucks, you'll shave your beard?
Yes, for sure. I'll do that. And then
cut off your head too?
Cut my head off.
No, cut your hair off.
You want me to shave my head?
Yeah, and your beard. So you look like 5 years younger.
Oh, he's gonna look like 10 years younger with no hair.
I can't shave my head completely because my thing there, but I can do it short.
Oh yeah, just get a little buzz cut.
Yeah.
But back to your analysis. I agree Kevin Durant's the best player, but I feel like Harden's the most important player just because of his tempo in terms of running the point guard, playing the floor general. Mm-hmm. But I also want to say they need to play DeAndre Jordan because Tristan Thompson was smoking them. He had like 7 offensive rebounds in game 3. And Tristan Thompson was killing because he just obviously he played the intensity like he always does, but like you said, it seems like he wanted it more than the Nets was. And the Nets didn't want it more.
Celtics did. The whole team did.
Yep.
I mean, they made all the 50-50 plays.
Yeah, I think Claxton's not overrated, but I think he's just too weak. I feel like he's a good offensive big man just because he's tall and skinny. He could, do his little hook shot. But defensively, I think he's not as good, especially if you go up. When they go up against the Bucks, if they do, against the 76ers, they get past the Bucks, then they play DeAndre Jordan because at least he might not be as quick and he's kind of old. But I feel like in terms of rim protection, blocking, rebounds, and just being in the paint, I feel like there's a better presence than Claxton. So
they're gonna get eaten alive in the paint.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope they play DeAndre Jordan, man, for real.
Zach, before you say something real quick, I just want to say the other night when I texted in the chat that Kyrie was going to be the man, I thought his first time coming back to the Garden with fans I thought he was going to be the guy, and he was terrible. But go on.
I agree with Mo, and I hate this argument that you say that, he's the best player, but, you said Durant's the best player, but Harden's the most valuable. No. If you are the most valuable and most important to the team, you are the best player. It doesn't matter if you play better, whatever this. If you help the team win the games more, if you are more valuable to the team in terms of offense, defense, whatever, you lead the team, then you are the best player. It doesn't matter. So if Harden is the most important and most valuable, he is the best player on that team. It doesn't matter, in my opinion.
It sounds like a Steph argument, but I would say Durant.
That's what I was gonna say.
I would
absolutely, it will be a Steph argument.
I would also say Durant's the most important player because if I go by when they play extremely well, like when they do all their stuff, when Durant did all of his stuff and he was like doing everything, they won the 2 games. But when Harden was that guy, they didn't win that game. Not to take anything away from Harden, but it's a 3-game sample size. It's not that big.
I'm going to say is if they're in a tight series and they need clutch shots, they need big performances, I'm going to take Durant as my guy to do that over Harden. That's my opinion.
This series, here's what's going to happen is that they don't care. I'm telling you, they do not care about this series because they know if Kyrie, Harden, and Durant really want to, they can just absolutely wipe the floor with the Celtics if they want to. They don't care about this series.
Fair.
Coming from Mr. 16-0, you don't think they can do that? Come on, son. Let's get to the Lakers, though. I got similar stuff for the Lakers.
Okay. Then go with the Lakers then, yeah.
Here's the reason that the Lakers can pose a big threat to the Nets in the finals if they get there, and really the reason that the Suns have absolutely no chance of winning the series, even if CP3 is somehow magically available. Did you see how they won the last game? All right, they had 50 something points in the paint. They made like 2 threes or something. Didn't make any. They basically had no points outside of the paint, and they still won the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they shot horribly. That's unbelievable. They're killing the Suns with their size, as Stephen A. or somebody said, Chris Broussard. I can't remember who said it, but they killed them with their size, which I didn't see in the first game, especially in the first game, because I thought Ayton was really torching the Lakers, which was really weird to me because I'm like, you have Drummond and AD, and Ayton's like eating them alive, and which Ayton is coming out. He's having a coming out party because he's really playing well, I think. But it's just they don't have enough, man. Even if CP3's there, they're how are they gonna combat that? They can't combat that size, and they're just gonna have trouble scoring in the paint.
Because they're the only good big men.
Yeah, and exactly. And I gotta be honest, I don't think the Lakers, who have had the number 1 defense, really have played like the number 1 defense. They did last game because and I can't even say that because I don't even think the Suns have scored 100 points like twice. I think they've scored 100 once, which is unbelievable in today's era. So I think I'm going to stick with what I said. This is Lakers in 5. I said it from the first time. They're going to probably obliterate them the next 3 games.
Dude, Devin Booker's been playing like bad. He played good in the first game, but game 2s and 3s, he was terrible. So, and if Chris Paul is injured or playing with one arm, then Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton have to go for 20 and 30 if they want a chance.
Right? Yeah.
Mikal Bridges, I mean, he's just like the shooter, the 3-and-D guy. Jay Crowder's a 3-and-D guy. Like I said, dude, Ayton's literally the only good big man on the team because the only other big guys on the team are Kaminsky and Dario Saric. So those guys are not really known for the rebounding and presence.
We see the Lakers literally toying with them. They're literally laughing and joking on the court. The disrespect.
Crazy, man.
The disrespect.
Got to the head, too. You see Devin Booker, that hard foul on Schroeder.
Oh, yeah.
At the end, they got ejected, right?
And
they got text, right? Oh, no, Lakers.
Yeah. I think Booker got ejected. Then Jay Crowder got ejected because he was arguing with somebody too. So
tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Two City votes on shit in the Clippers.
But nice, interesting playoff debates. It'll be interesting to see what happens with all of these series going forward, and then these teams, obviously, as well. But moving on, we're gonna talk about the fans. So there's been a lot of fan talk about restrictions. Recently, fans poured popcorn on Russ. He was really upset about it. He said the league needs to do something about it. And then also, the Ja Morant was the target of racial slurs, and fans made vulgar and racist comments. Those fans have been banned. So, real quick question: what do you think? What should the league do about this? Should they ban? I mean, what's your general thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, those Ja Morant things. I mean, Utah has had a bad rep for the past 2-3 years with fans, making not racist comments, racist and just
vulgar.
Yeah, and makes you question that mindset with that state. But I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but I think like 2 months ago they passed a law. They passed a law in the state of Utah that they took out like historical like civil rights like classes or courses in college and high school and stuff like that. So
we know what kind of state that. Okay, yep.
Yeah. Okay, so
we know now.
I saw that like a month ago, so it's pretty interesting to me. But
no, I'm saying like now I understand. Now I got it.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I don't know if you guys seen the comments for towards it was to Ja Morant's mom. the exact comments were, I'll put a nickel in your back and watch you dance, boy. I think it was something like that.
Man,
And I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's like something they used to say in the South. It
that
sounds like
sounds
it.
bad. That sounds bad. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a racial slur. Or if that's just a comment, but it's just I don't know. I've never heard that before, but it sounds bad to me. But there was fans that were sitting next to John Moran's dad that they actually took a picture with him. And the fans that said that stuff was like a couple rows back. So not all Utah fans were, being disrespectful towards John Moran's family. But Russell Westbrook a year ago with that Utah couple that said something along along the lines of racism towards Russell. I think it was him and his wife. Yeah, I don't know what the comments were, but that happened last year or 2 years ago. Trae Young got spat on by a Knicks fan.
Oh yeah,
apparently.
True. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And 50 Cent and his wife were sitting in front of the fans, so she got spat on too. I don't know if 50 Cent made comments about it, but yeah, these fans are getting out of control. I don't know, maybe like the NBA, like the actual team franchises, they banned the fans. So I guess that's the right thing to do. But at the same time, it keeps happening. So do you guys think they should have a plan? I don't know what the plan should be, but it's just
right. It's hard to plan for something like that because it's unexpected,
Right.
And you can't really expect something like that to happen. I mean, it's gonna happen, but you just gotta ban them and be upfront and like straightforward with it and just be quick about it. Just a quick ban for life if they do something like that against a player. Obviously, they just need to act quickly and set examples that this is not something to tread lightly about. If something happens and then it takes a little while for them to get banned, no, it should happen right away as soon as possible. So that's what I think. Should be quick and stern. Yeah.
Maybe the players should address them before the game.
That's true. Yeah.
Maybe that'll have effect on it. But
well, there's a certain substance that goes into all of this.
Oh my goodness.
That substance is alcohol.
Oh my goodness. They can't take alcohol away, bro.
Well, I would never suggest that because you're going to lose so much money. I'm all for it actually, because that's how you make a ton of money. It's so easy. But I'm just saying like that kind of stuff, this kind of stuff's going to happen with people like that. I mean, if you're trashed or you've been drinking, man, like that's what happens. It just does. I'm not saying these people were, I don't know, but you got to imagine they're adults. Now, here's the other thing. I forgot who it was, Shannon, Skip, or somebody. They were like talking about having security guards up there by like the entranceways or the gate.
They do have not security guards, but they have like workers there.
Well, they said security so that nobody can pour popcorn on a human being walking out of the game because that's.
Well, how is security gonna prevent
exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's still gonna happen. It's just they're gonna get to them faster than usual.
You're gonna run into the issues here where everything you try to do to prevent this stuff is gonna take away from the fans' viewing experience. So it's ultimately coming down to, do you trust adults to be grown-ups and mature? And I gotta be honest with you, from my life experience, I don't trust. I mean, I barely trust like coworkers or anything. Like I hear people talk. I'm like, man, wow, we're really great as a people.
Society.
I mean, but like to spit on a human being that's like the lowest thing you can do to somebody, isn't it? Is it not? I mean, is there anything else you could think of lower than like, other than
they have their back to you.
Yeah, it's just disgraceful.
It's disgusting. So there's no way to stop this in my mind, because it is really just a reactive thing. It's not proactive, because 99% of these people aren't going to do this kind of stuff. It's the same way with like I don't know, never mind. I'm not going to bring the race kind of stuff into it, but like that kind of stuff, how people stereotype an entire race or something, and it's like 99% of the people are great, but like 1% makes people look bad. So now
Yeah.
everybody thinks, oh, I go to Utah, I'm going to expect racial comments.
Exactly.
Well, it's not. It's not the case. It's just one person out of like 1,000 says something like that, but they're always speaking louder. Now it's good they banned them, but guys, I don't see a way to stop it. I really don't. I think the best thing that you can do is just weed out those kinds of people over time. Just
Yeah.
because. And the other thing I was going to ask you guys, can they ban them from the whole NBA, or is it just that stadium?
I think they banned the Knicks fan from every NBA game.
Okay.
Is that a?
It was either Knicks fan or the Jazz fan. I don't know which one, but it was one of them.
Is that a NBA, a league thing that has to do that? Because I
think
imagine the team can't do it.
Right.
I think it was a league. I'm pretty sure the franchises go to the league and request that.
So you guys remember Donald Sterling, right? Obviously.
Yeah. I was just
he's banned from the whole NBA, right?
Yeah. I was just thinking
why can't
of
you
that,
do the why can't you do the same thing with fans?
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a second chance. These are human beings.
Yep.
Right?
Thanks.
Like you don't get to
spit on them and
and Shannon Sharp made a good point. I mean, it's all about empathy. How would you like it, Zach, if I will go into your work and you're at your desk and I just come and spit on you and then I leave?
It's disrespectful, man.
I mean, it would be one thing because I'm your friend, but like if some random person did it, it would be. I mean, personally,
I would be livid. I'd be like Westbrook after somebody spilled the popcorn, right? Yeah.
And they know that the players can't do anything, right?
Exactly.
That's why
that's the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know. Well, if you did that to Westbrook in public,
that's what he said. He said if you do that on the street, he know what would happen. The result would be different. He said the result would be different.
Oh my God, they everybody be going to Seattle. Everybody with Kwame Brown, they'd be.
Oh my God.
So they don't have to sign any waivers, bro.
There'll be an influx of Seattle tourism. No.
It's not going to change. All right. Human beings have proven time and time again that when given the opportunity to do the right thing, they don't.
Roasted.
You're just allowed to get back in the stadium. This is the first thing people do. Finally allowed to be back in the stadiums.
Yep.
You're gonna ruin it for everyone, bro.
Yep. Wrapping it all up though, this last topic is a big three. So there was a bit of a topic on Instagram and Twitter about the big three rankings all time. So the best trios in NBA history. So to mention, I ranked mine. I don't know what you guys did, but obviously they had in some of the photos and graphics they had Wade, Bosh, and LeBron James. Obviously, they had Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman. Obviously, Steph, Clay, and KD. The recent Nets trio that was formed with KD, Harden, and Kyrie, and then Manu Ginobili, Parker, and Duncan from the Spurs. So I went ahead and ranked this. I also thought it was interesting that nothing was on. There was no talk about Jabbar, the Magic, and the Kareem and the James Worthy trio, because that was a trio that was really good trio. So I had them in here as well, but I ranked it as Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman as the top tier trio, because I mean they just dominated. They were just so dominant for such a a long period of time. And it wasn't just dominance; it was a step above. Like it was legendary status. So that's obvious, I think. And then a tier below that, I had the Spurs one, just because longevity. They had, played together for so many seasons, 4 NBA championships. I looked it up. They had the best winning percentage, the best point differential, the best defensive rating. They're second in effective field goal percentage and third in offensive rating. That's just nuts to do that for so consistent amount of time, so dominant. Just that's nuts that they did that for so long. So I threw that out there as well. I don't know if I want to go through all this list because it would be long, but That's what I had in my top two. I got at least.
Will, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I'm not really sure if I have a top two yet, so you can go.
Well, I'll just rank mine based off what they accomplished. At Spurs just because of what they did as a dynasty.
Yeah.
For such a long period of time with 50-win seasons, the playoff record, the most wins by a trio
Yeah.
in league history. I had the Bulls second just because in 4 years what they did, I guess 3 years because Jordan came back. I think the first year Rodman was on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So they three-peated obviously. So every year they played with each other, they won a championship. So big props to that.
Yeah.
I had the Warriors trio number 3 just because of basically just the offensive, arsenal.
Yeah.
All great shooters.
Yep.
All great scorers. What they did with championships, they went to was it 3 straight finals?
Yeah.
They won 2.
Yeah.
They won 2 with each other. Could have three-peated, but obviously injuries had a big part of that.
Yeah.
I had the Heat one, number 4. 4 years together, 2 championships.
To the finals every season, yeah.
Yeah. I guess the Bulls, I don't know if they're obviously Rodman, Pippen, and Jordan weren't in their prime, but the Heat were in their prime.
Yeah.
When they got together, I think Bosh was. LeBron certainly was, and so was Wade. So I guess it was, but Wade's prime was only for 2 years, and then 2013 he was still a decent player, but wasn't a top 10 player in the league anymore. Then 2014, obviously with the finals, what happened and their meltdown. So I had them 4 just because what they did.
Yeah.
I based this off the graphic. I know the Spurs weren't in the graphic, but I feel they deserve to be in the
They
graphic.
definitely do. Yeah.
So I put Brooklyn number 5 just because it's too early to tell.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I don't think they should be on the list, but since they're in the
Facts.
graphic, I just put them there. Zach had a good point about the Lakers trio. I know everybody thinks of Kareem and Magic, but James Worthy was a pretty good player. He did get a Finals MVP in those championships they won, so he was definitely an important player for that dynasty too. If you want to put Celtics in there too, just because McHale, Robert Parrish, and Larry Bird, that was a trio too, obviously too. So if I put the Celtics, I put the Celtics and the Lakers before the Warriors trio. Actually, I put the Lakers 3, the Warriors 4, then the Celtics trio 5.
Facts.
And I'll
That's
put
good.
Brooklyn last.
That's a good ranking. I agree. I think I agree with that list wholeheartedly. Yeah.
I might.
And I also wanted to say real quick, just the fact that that Jabbar and Magic are probably universally 2 of the top 5 NBA players of all time, and then you add James Worthy, who is a very good player, is just enough of an argument for them to be in there in the top 3. You know what I'm saying, right? Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna just play devil's advocate because honestly, I might disagree with you guys' lists. So I'm gonna rank these by maybe not what they accomplished, but just talent.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Jordan, the Bulls are first, and the main reason for that is because they weren't in their primes at that point. You could say Jordan was, and Pippen maybe, I guess, outskirts of their primes if you want to say that. And they still won 3 championships. So yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about their accomplishments. But that team was insane. Dennis Rodman was definitely not in his prime, but he was just a great role player.
Yeah.
Number 2 is going to be the Spurs dynasty, because that team, I mean, Tim Duncan is stupidly underrated. I think he gets the respect he kind of deserves at this point, but like you could make a serious argument that he's top 10 all time.
I think he is.
And I think a lot of people would put him in the top 10. And then Parker, I mean, Parker is an underrated point guard. There's another name. I mean, because he didn't play in an era where point guards were scorers. So everybody forgets so easily that all these point guards today, that's not how it was back then. Tony Parker was a really good He was just a pure point guard. He was a great pure point guard. He could run an offense. And then Manu Ginobili. I mean, what else can be said? Manu Ginobili,
One of the best
maybe the
six man.
greatest six man of all time,
One of
probably.
greatest bench player.
One of. I mean, and you can make a legitimate argument for him that he could have been maybe a superstar on his own team, but he knew his role. After that, I'm gonna put the Heat, just because I think.
Wow,
I think,
on talent?
Yeah, just on talent. Because Chris Bosh was that dude. Everybody, I'm telling you, I say this every time we talk about this. Everybody forgets how good Chris Bosh was. Just like everybody forgets how good Kevin Love was, right?
Yep.
Just because they went to a team with LeBron and Wade or Kyrie and LeBron, where they became the third guy and didn't average those same stats, does not mean they were insane. Like Chris Bosh is a great player. So based on his talent, he's phenomenal. I mean, LeBron's LeBron, right? And then Dwayne Wade, that man just doesn't get enough respect for his career. He just doesn't. Yeah. I mean, the man carried a Heat team to a finals, carried them. And he's a defensive monster. Monster. He's unbelievable on defense.
Especially early in his career, for sure.
So, they did end up winning 2 championships. Frankly, I do think they underachieved for what they could have done because team was
not 4, not 5, not 6.
And what they said they were going to do, right? But I mean, Dwayne Wade's knees gave out, and LeBron just wasn't going to do that himself. And then, obviously Bosh started having the issues with his health. So the dynasty kind of fell apart as it was really getting going, but they underachieved in my opinion. After that, I'm going to go with, and I do have I have the Nets last. So and that's mostly because they are talented, but it's hard to tell what they're going to do, and that does play part of it. But then the Warriors. Did I leave anybody out? I didn't, right? Yeah, no.
Yeah, good.
So then I have the Warriors after the Heat. I mean, Durant's great, but really probably not as good as LeBron. Clay and Steph are great. I just, they're all great players, but I just think the Heat talent wise were a little bit better. And the Warriors did have the benefit of having a team that was a little bit better than pretty much everybody else. The Heat had some competition, I would say. Like they showed that they could lose to the Mavericks. They showed they could lose to the Bulls, during the regular season. Obviously didn't happen in the playoffs, but the Bulls were never healthy.
Pacers gave them trouble.
The Warriors really didn't have that issue at all. Because they just wiped the floor with everybody. And if Durant was there for the finals against the Raptors, I personally think they would have smoked the Raptors as well. So, those are mine. The Nets, I don't know about yet. I don't even know why the Nets are on this list.
One thing I want to say about the Heat trio is that it was just so like Showtime. You know what I'm saying? Like
it was.
The entire league revolved around the Miami Heat and what they were going to do because they had that trio, and then
the Lobs.
The Lobs.
It was like Lob City first.
The picture that iconic picture with Wade and LeBron, and then LeBron's return to Cleveland. That first time with them throwing a bunch of shit at him too. They had to do the interview off the court too. Oh, man, that's wild.
He dropped like 50 that night or something.
He killed them. Yeah,
he absolutely torched them.
Yep, and then the way that Wade and Bosh were able to reduce their roles without and not have their egos play into it, because Wade knew let it be LeBron's team. He didn't let the ego get to him, and then Bosh obviously could have been a world-class superstar anywhere else, but he reduced his workload severely. Still maintained success, though. He averaged 17.7 rebounds and 1 block, which is on that team is crazy too.
I mean, his first year, he was still the guy.
Right.
LeBron was not.
Mm-hmm. Right. True. Yeah.
But those were LeBron's best years. Like, in my opinion, LeBron's best years were in Miami. So that's prime LeBron.
He won 2 MVPs there too.
Yeah. I personally think there's a bit of a gap between the Jordan Bulls and the Spurs, and then everybody else on this specific list.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the Warriors or the Heat really are close to those two. But
really, I say the
I don't
Warriors
know.
are
The Warriors, yeah.
Maybe
Turns out-
close, but I still think there's a gap between the Spurs and Bulls, and then
That's true.
because if you're going by talent and as well as accomplishments, you got to acknowledge the Spurs won 5 championships. I mean, 5, right? 5, not 6.
Yeah.
5. Yeah. So I mean, that's insane. That the Bulls didn't even do that with. I mean, obviously they were a little late.
I mean,
at
they
that
won
point.
6 and 8, so.
Yeah, but not with that trio, and it
Not
was
with the trio.
a little too late at that point for that. But
Mhm.
like the other thing, the thing you got to look at with between the Spurs and then the rest of these is why they didn't last so long. Because the Warriors theoretically could have won like I don't know how many you think they could win 5, 6.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Say
I
Heat,
was, yeah. Mhm.
the Heat. I guess the Heat. There's an excuse because of health.
Yeah, healthy. Yeah.
But the Warriors, there's not really an excuse there. It was just,
Yeah.
it just
I
kind of
think-
seemed
I
like
think-
Wasn't meant to be with.
it ran its course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you could also, not discrediting, but I think you could take Durant and put Draymond in because Draymond's been with them longer, and I feel like they've accomplished more with Draymond than Durant. So you could say put Draymond.
No, I don't
in
know
there.
about that, bro.
I mean, Draymond did he was Defensive Player of the Year when he was on the Warriors.
Yeah, but
I mean, I'm just saying that there is an argument there too. I just
But
wanted
they
to throw that out there.
won 1 championship.
they went 1-1 with Draymond.
And they
as
had
a
the
third.
73-9 team, and they went to the finals.
I mean, all right, but if you want to talk about big three in terms of which one you would pick, I'd take the big three of
Well,
Durant
yeah,
instead of Draymond.
That's true. Yeah.
Draymond's the core.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like you can make that argument. Well, no, you can't make that argument with the Spurs.
Yeah.
I was going to say Kawhi at the end, the tail end of that. You could have said Kawhi was a part of that big three, but he was so.
I mean, if you want to talk about big threes in terms of like how Draymond was to the Warriors was like how Rodman was to the Bulls, but Rodman was. I still take Rodman over Draymond.
Obviously, yeah.
I just think that I don't think they would win those finals with Draymond instead of Durant. Like let's say Durant doesn't join them.
That's true.
I just don't think Draymond would be the difference in terms of them winning a championship.
That's where the Bulls are so high because they didn't have. Superstar.
I think the Bulls. Yeah, they had.
I mean,
Rodman.
you got to think about that. There was no other superstar on the Bulls. I mean, I guess you say Scotty, but
he was. Yeah, they was. No, it was just him and Mike. But compared to the other, literally every other team on this list had a third superstar.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, I take back what I said. No disrespect to Scotty. Scotty is that. He's that dude. Like, he is that dude.
So I was just saying to Zach's point, I just think if Draymond was like a Rodman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But we never know because Durant joined the team, so we will never know.
Yeah, he ruined the whole freaking graphic. We should tweet at him.
The whole league. He ruined the whole league.
For real, though. Now you got. I guess it's so weird though, guys. Because serious question: do you guys feel like the East is? I feel you guys disagreed with me, but I feel like the East is more competitive this year.
I just do
than the West, because I already told you I think the Lakers have the easiest path to the finals out of every team in the NBA. I think the easiest path is.
You're only saying it because the Lakers are just that much better.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's why the East is going to be the East is going to be more difficult.
That doesn't make the East better than the West. I still take the West teams over the East for sure.
Facts, yeah.
Really?
Right.
Yeah, especially the bottom half. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm saying more competitive. Is it going to be more competitive than the East? You don't think that you think the Lakers against outside of the Lakers Clippers, if that happens, I don't think there's a competitive matchup for the Lakers.
I mean, just look at the teams in the East. The Sixers are going to
look to me. Okay, if you say that, then I think that's just because of matchups. But if you're talking about from 1 to 15, I'll still take the West.
No, I'm talking. Yeah, I am talking.
In terms of
this
competitive,
playoffs,
yes, but I think the Lakers are better than everybody else because of matchups. Because they don't have somebody in the West that can guard an AD.
Right.
If they had, for me, that's the difference between the Lakers and everybody else. They don't have someone that can guard an AD.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I look
see in the East, it could be Giannis, it can be Embiid, it can be Bam. Those are pretty good matchups for AD.
I'm just looking at
in the West, like I'm just saying, Kanter is not doing nothing. Nurkic is not doing nothing. Jokic is definitely not doing nothing.
Porzingis ain't doing a damn thing.
Porzingis ain't a damn thing. Serge Ibaka seems too old and too injured, too injury prone right now. Mm-hmm. And who else? The Jazz, maybe Gobert, but it seems like Gobert is getting torched about AD every time they match up. So,
see, I'm just looking at like teams that will make the finals and how hard their road's going to be. And there's no way around me saying, I just think the Lakers are going to have the easiest road. I think the Lakers are getting to the finals. And I think it will be the easiest road out of any team that will.
I don't think
that's because they're built.
I just think just because they're much better than everybody else.
That's the way they're built.
That's not about easier road. The Suns are still a decent team, and the Jazz will still be a tough opponent. And then either if it's the Clippers or the Blazers.
You think Suns are decent? I mean, the Suns are decent, but
they're a good team.
Well, they're the worst 2 seed.
But they're still the 2 seed.
Okay, I guess if you want to look at that way. What about the Blazers?
You can't. No, I'm saying for me, I'm saying that the Suns are still a good team. I can
say that about every team. The Wizards are a good team.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the Lakers are so much better than the Suns because
anyone else.
And that's exactly why it's going to be more competitive in the East. No team is so much better than everybody else. Tell me I'm wrong.
It's about matchups.
Should be better. The Nets should be better.
The Nets should be better, but they messed up with the big man situation. That's my problem with them.
Facts.
Which is what the Lakers have. So, in terms of matchups, because they don't have anybody that can guard Embiid or Giannis. That's the difference. That's why it's going to be more competitive.
Okay, here's a question for you. Who do you think will lose more games on their way to the finals, assume they make it? Nets or Lakers?
Nets, for sure.
Okay,
for sure.
So they're not going 16-1.
I said 16-0 just because it was a bold take.
It was a bold take, yeah.
Do I truly believe in? I don't know. I just said it just to say it. That's how my bold takes go.
That's
facts.
Disappointing.
Say it and move on. Facts.
I say it and believe it. Just like I did
last
year.
You don't
really say anything.
I make way more bold takes than anybody here. Mine are more bold than anybody else.
I don't know, man. I recall the Nuggets Clippers being down 3-1 last year, and just
the only will take I have is that AD is injured, and that's it.
Oh, really? You didn't have the Bucks losing in the first round, the Lakers winning 5-1 or 4-1 in 5 games.
That's not a bold take that the Lakers win in 5 games. That's not bold. Come on, bro. That's not bold.
Zach, stop it. Mr. Oh, it's going to be a challenging series. The games are going to be close. It's going to be
bold. That's bold that I say that me and Muhammad said it's 6 games. That's bolder than 5 games.
Oh, no. Okay. I'm going to have to roll the tape on this. I'm going to go back to next week.
The Nets should be finals champions.
Look at all that.
Yeah. All right.
Nets ain't winning the finals.
I've already said that in
the finals?
First episode.
Nets aren't winning the finals.
I said that first episode, bro. Get on my level.
That's not bold, bro.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It was back then for amateur.
No, it wasn't. What's bold is saying Julius Randle is going to win the most improved player.
He was bold. Second. That's fine. That's fine. It's facts.
My God, Jay Randall, man. Appreciate the money.
Appreciate the money.
I have to go back and find me saying that.
Appreciate the listening, though. Episode 18. Appreciate everybody tuning into this episode. Playoffs. Oh, my God. Appreciate the playoffs.
Champions League winners, if you guys haven't heard the news already.
No.
Chelsea FC, all right? Let's go.
Karma sucks.
Instagram. See y'all later. Peace.
Peace.